right, well, we're under 11 weeks now from kickoff, under 11 weeks before we start to find out about this Auburn football team, and it's a huge game at Baylor. It really is. Like, we hype up first games of the year because they're first games of the year, but this one is massive. He's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. This is Village Vice. It's brought to you by mybookie.ag. Promo code BARN. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 and a $10 casino chip. So check that out at mybookie.ag and use promo code BARN. 74 days away from kick, Zach. And so as we look at the roster, we see number 74 is vacant. It's vacant.
I'm trying to think of like 74, like just in general.
Wayne Gandy was 74. Tracy Rocker was 74.
Tracy Rocker is the best one I thought of.
I don't know why there's no 74 on the roster currently. I don't know if it's for an incoming freshman or transfer that's not here yet.
I don't know.
I know it bothers me more than it should that there's no 74 when there are like 30 double numbers.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get into the road discussion here in a minute, but can I just declare my old man-ism for a minute?
You can have this. Just for the record, I don't care at all, but you can go ahead.
Okay. If 74 is available, we don't need two guys with the same number if 74 is available.
There's nothing wrong with guys wearing the same number. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's no 49. There's no 50. There's no 51. Mm-hmm. There are two.
Those are also positions, though, where like there's not a whole lot you could do with that. Like in the 50s, like I guess a linebacker or an edge guy could wear that, but you don't typically see that anymore. You used to see a lot. You used to see 50s and high 40s at linebacker more than you do now. But
yeah,
like 49 on offense, like they'd have to essentially be a tight end or like an H-back. And then 70, numbers in the 70s, like you don't typically see defensive linemen wearing 70s anymore. So if you don't have an offensive lineman that wants to wear 74, like it's not going to happen.
But like there's no 73 either.
Well,
Lee Zimba was 73. Marcus McNeil was 73.
Sure. I think 73 is a better number on a jersey than 74. So I'm a little more surprised at the 73 thing than the 74 thing. Sure.
Okay. One more note on this, and then I'll let it go.
All right.
Paul Thompson and Eli Morton both wear 48, but nobody is wearing. And Keaton McNutt and Gray Rebels are wearing 46, but nobody has 49, 50, or 51. There are two 52s.
Huh? Who's wearing 46?
46, Gray Rebels and Keaton McNutt.
Keaton who?
McNutt.
I'm sorry, your internet went out. Say it one more time.
Keaton McNutt.
Yeah. McNutt. Got it.
Yes, McNutt.
McNutt?
McNutt. What are you? How old are you?
I couldn't hear you, Brad.
Yes, you could. And so could everybody else. That's okay. Keaton's going to be fantastic as he goes throughout his Auburn career.
Who?
I'm a believer.
What's his last name?
McNutt.
McNutt?
Big believer in Keaton McNutt.
I'm a big fan.
He's going to be huge. So I just think that one of those guys wearing 48 should wear 49 or 50 or 51. I don't think you ought to have double numbers if there are available numbers.
All right.
Anybody else with me, or is that just me? Am I all alone on the lawn?
Like, I promise you, you're not alone.
With the sprinkler,
I promise you, you're not alone.
Okay. I've got the hose, and I'm just trying to keep everybody off my lawn.
You've got the here. What?
The hose. The water hose. You're a child.
What's our actual topic today?
By the way, I make the background, and it's the one day out of 100 you don't wear a hat.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy luck.
Great job. Great job. Now, the serious topic on today's show. Enough of the foolishness.
That was crazy.
You've never used a water hose, by the way?
I've used a water hose.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. Auburn beating Baylor on the road to open the season
Oof.
would be the best or biggest road win. I don't care what word you use. Best or biggest road win since fill in the blank.
I
What's your
think
answer?
I think October 2nd, 2021. LSU.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer.
Yeah. I think so too. I hate that we agree on that. I think so too because of what it represents. Now, that was not a great LSU team, but you stopped the streak. And I don't care that it was during the 21 season where it ended poorly, and I don't care who the coach was. That was a huge win for the Auburn football program to beat a team that at the time you played every year and was a rival at
But I'm
their
trying to
place.
look and see like what another argument would be.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of others.
Yeah, I think at Arkansas in 23, which would have been Hugh's first year.
Yeah.
That felt like a big win. And then they flipped Amaris. I think it was Amaris right after that. Like that was a good night. Because the big narrative's like, oh my goodness, we stink away from Jordan Hare. And then you go and you whoop an Arkansas team. And like that's one of those moments where you thought, okay, are things starting to come together? And then I guess another one, this isn't the answer because us beating Baylor would be a much bigger win. But at Kentucky last year, like that was fun, but it's not going to be bigger than a win in Waco would be.
Right. That 23 year, there were 3 road wins. So the narrative that Auburn wasn't good away from Jordan Hare Stadium, they kind of like that may have been a last year thing. They weren't great away from home, aside from Kentucky. But they won 3 true road games in 23. The Cal win, I would argue, it belongs in the discussion for some of the same reason this Baylor game is so big, because if you lose that game on the road, if you don't find a way to win that game late, what kind of year do you wind up at? Do you even go to a bowl? Well, clearly you don't go to a bowl game in 23. And you're looking at 3 straight years without a bowl game.
Yeah, I'm going back a year depending on what happens with the rest of the season, like there's an argument for why beating Baylor would be bigger than the win at LSU if you take away the historical stuff. If you talk about just like the impact on the season, now the historical stuff I do think matters a lot to some people, and it should. I'm not saying that it doesn't.
Right.
I don't care about that stuff as much as most Auburn fans, but I'm aware of that. And so like I'm not saying that it's not important. I think there's an argument to be made. In 2019, when they beat A&M, I think A&M was ranked in 2019. So that would have been Bo's first year, right?
Correct. That was the Anthony Schwartz reverse on the first drive. And
that's right.
One of the last reported sightings of Joey Gatewood in an Auburn jersey in an actual game. Wow. He threw a touchdown pass in that game.
Dang, I don't remember that. I was a groomsman at a wedding.
Okay.
That weekend.
Gotcha.
So I didn't watch that one live.
So you remember some of the weekend, but probably not much of it.
We had to leave shortly after the Anthony Schwartz touchdown, which was electric. And they're like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Don't ever schedule a wedding on a football weekend.
No.
It's one of the most selfish things you can do.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. Selfish, self-absorbed.
Well, it's about me. Like, yeah, that's cool. But just don't be upset if people are watching a game on their phone while you're walking down the aisle.
Right.
And you can say, oh my goodness, well, that's ridiculous. Like, that's fine. But I'm just telling you it's going to happen. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. We all understand that football is at least as important as marriage. We hear you, Zach. We hear what you're saying. We understand.
Look, my wife gets it.
Yeah.
She gets it. She gets it. I'm like, I need like 14 weekends a year. The rest are yours, babe.
Sure. That's all you ask.
Whatever you want.
So it's less than a third of a year.
That's my job.
Yeah. All right. Let me give you another game to consider. This
what
one
do you think the response to that's going to be?
You haven't thought of this one at all.
Oh,
Arkansas,
okay. Moving on. Okay.
2023. That Arkansas team was ranked 17th.
I said that.
You know what? You did mention that. You mentioned that very first one.
Second one I said.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I was stuck on the number thing still, okay? I was still in a fog because of the number thing, and I didn't
That's cool.
totally yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I didn't remember that they were ranked 17th.
I didn't remember that either.
Yeah. But they were. That's a top 20 road win.
They stomped them.
Sure did. Yeah.
But I do remember talking about that because I felt crazy because all week I remember being like, I don't think Arkansas is that good.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a crossover with the Locked On Razorbacks guy, and he was telling me like how good they were. And I'm like, look, you might be right. And if they beat Auburn this weekend, like I still don't think it proves that you're right.
Yeah.
But like, okay, maybe. I just didn't see it. And it ended up being that was satisfying. That was a very satisfying. And then like I said, like I think during Freeze's presser, Amaris flipped, and it's like, here we go. Yeah.
There aren't just that many colossal road wins to talk about over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of part of the ongoing conversation. I want to know, what are your top road wins in all time Auburn football since you've been following closely? I'm not asking you to go back to the 70s or the 90s.
All time?
But yeah. Think about it.
The comeback has to be there.
Yeah. No, I think it's number one.
Beating Johnny Football in A&M has to be up there.
Yep.
Those are the first two that always come to mind when we talk about road wins. Because
Yeah.
I think there's, as far as since I've been paying attention in my lifetime and all that, I think those are 1 and 2.
Yeah. No, I give you those. I'm gonna give you a few more after you tell us about Roback, because that hoodie is looking so sharp.
I may not be wearing a hat today, but I could be wearing a hood.
Yeah, there you go.
I could be wearing a hood.
Yeah.
Thanks to our friends at Roback. And you're like, wow, I want to wear a hood. You can. Go to roback.com, use promo code VICE20 to get 20% off your order. You can get a performance hoodie like this.
Mm-hmm.
You also could get a collared shirt or a quarter zip or anything that they have over at roback.com. Once again, use promo code VICE20 for 20% off your order.
Fantastic. By the way, those Roback hoodies
thank you.
are so comfortable that even though it's almost 90 degrees, you're comfortable in a hoodie.
After we are done recording this and we upload it,
yeah,
I'm going to work out. I'm wearing this. This is what I'm wearing.
I love it.
And there's going to be some people that try to stop me. I'm going to say, no, I'm doing it. I'm wearing the Roback Performance hoodie.
Yeah. Because it's lightweight and comfortable.
Yeah.
And you can get yours at roback.com. Okay. I'm going to go like Tennessee 2004. I'll go back a little further. Then Tennessee 04.
Mm-hmm.
Same as Texas A&M 13 in that it was a midseason game against a ranked opponent that kind of announced, okay, Auburn has started the season with some momentum. But now after this game, we see that they're a national force to be reckoned with.
Sure.
So, and then, you got to go like Florida 94, going even further back to continue the unbeaten streak and to go topple the Gators on the road. Massive.
What about 2014 Ole Miss?
Again, massive. Now, again,
one of the craziest endings ever.
Absolutely. Laquan Treadwell going in for a go-ahead touchdown. And Auburn forces the fumble. They review it. They actually review it correctly and give Auburn the ball.
Yeah. And then one of arguably the craziest newspaper headlines the next day ever.
Which was?
You remember this?
No, I don't remember this. I was living in North Carolina at the time, so I didn't.
I want to get my facts correct because it doesn't look good. Hold on.
Again, these are not taking into account the way the season finished. We know how the season finished, and that was disappointing. But that game and that win were massive. I think Auburn trailed by 10 at one point. Trailed by 10 on the road, come back and win.
Yeah, okay. They the OA News, which I think the OA News does a good job, but this was not good. The next morning, the headline was "Finding a Way," and the picture is Laquan falling backwards, breaking his leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Not great.
yeah.
Not great.
Not every shot is a make.
But that game was crazy. That was crazy before the ending. And then, Laquan doing that.
That's right. That's
Crazy
right.
Stuff.
So I think that this road game, and road wins are precious wherever you get them. Like, you start looking back, 2020, they won at Ole Miss in 2020. 2018, Ole Miss.
What happened remind me of 2020 Ole Miss? Because when I was looking through, when you said we were talking about this today, one, I said great topic. And then two, I was thinking, like, I don't remember 2020 Ole Miss.
2020 Ole Miss was the game that Seth Williams caught a pass at around the 30 with under 2 minutes to go and broke away from the defender and went in for the score.
Okay. I wish you would have just ended it with Seth Williams caught that pass. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That would have been like somebody telling us who the beach vacation tiger was, but not explaining why.
Sure.
Which did happen. We got a Dylan Gentry with no explanation whatsoever.
Great.
I don't know.
Great.
Like, I
think we could get there with that one. I think we could get there. It was like, it's just a vibe. Okay. Awesome.
That's true.
Awesome. I wanted somebody to hit us with like a Lucas Hargrove or something and be like,
and just leave it.
Like, I like Lucas, but I'd love to hear, like, show your work. Like, I'd love to hear, why is he the beach vacation?
I'll tell you, Lucas Hargrove and Dylan Gentry probably have a lot of similarity. Like, Lucas was a vibe too.
Sure. Lucas was on, those Lebo teams where, like, I really started to get into sports and specifically college basketball. I loved that team. Lucas and Dwayne Reed and Tay Waller, those guys.
Kenny Gabriel, first triple-double in Auburn basketball history. Kenny Gabriel, he played during
Kenny Gabriel's the first triple-double in Auburn basketball history?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that. Looking at the 2017 season, though, it's kind of wild, like, how good that season was, and there wasn't really that, like, marquee road win.
Yeah. Yeah, because they lost at Clemson, lost at LSU. Georgia and Alabama were home.
Yeah, and it's like, it was a Malzahn team, so we went to Arkansas and just routed them.
Yeah. Missouri wasn't very good at all.
Was it Missouri that we kept getting to the one and then, like, Carry-On would score and he had, like, 4 touchdowns? Was that that game?
Like 5 first half touchdowns.
Yeah.
51-10.
Yeah, that's where it's like, is he going to have the stats to be in the Heisman conversation? It's like,
That game is the first game I ever flew in a Lear jet.
Are you flexing?
We know it's not a flex because it's the only time it's ever happened. But it was a Saturday game, but we left after Tiger Talk on Thursday. About half the crew did. And we made it to Columbia, Missouri in an hour and 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
It was phenomenal.
Auburn, Mizzou in 2017. Yeah, Carry-On had 5 touchdowns. I thought it was 4. You're right, it's 5. But he had 18 carries for 48 yards.
Yeah, like Jarrett Stidham would hit Nate Craig Myers and Kyle Davis. When's the last time you thought of Nate Craig Myers and Kyle Davis? He would hit them on long passes, and then Carry-On would take it in. Carry-On was a touchdown machine in 17.
He was so good in the red zone. He was so patient.
Yeah.
So
he had
patient.
4 or 5 against Ole Miss that year, too.
Will Hastings averaged 30 yards a catch in this game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Will Hastings averaged 30 yards a catch in his Auburn career, it feels like.
Yeah.
I feel like Will Hastings was the king of the zigzag move across the middle of the field, and everybody just
I will seam you once a game.
Yes.
And Jarrett Stidham's like, say less. Let's go.
Okay. Was 2017's success more a product of a new quarterback or a new offensive coordinator?
Oh, my gosh. I'm not ready for this. Carry-On Johnson.
Okay. Is there Carry-On Johnson on this roster?
Yes.
Okay. And his
not a
name
running
is?
back, but yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I like that.
as far as just like an impact player that's going to make everyone better. Yes. And Auburn may have 2 of them.
Yeah. I was going to say then you probably can't narrow it down to one if we're going that route.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do think we're going to see an impact of like, I think there's going to be games where Cam Coleman gets less targets, but Eric Singleton's able to get like 160.
Yeah.
And Malcolm's going to be able to get, 90 yards and a score or something like that. And it's going to be like, well, okay, like that doesn't look good for Cam stat wise, but those guys don't do that if Cam's not on the field. That's the type of conversations that I cannot wait to have post game this year.
I agree. It's a thing that like I could talk about it every day, but I don't think the audience wants that conversation every single day. How do you defend the potential for this receiver core? Is because I think about it from the other standpoint. What do you do defensively?
Yeah, I mean, if you really spread them out, which is the whole goal of this offense and the whole personnel, there's just going to be situations if they move guys around like we think that they will, where you're going to force safeties or like will linebackers to have to cover Malcolm Simmons and Eric Singleton.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. And if
you go with too light of personnel, if you run more dime, which is one linebacker, and it's like, all right, we're daring you to run it. And it's like, I think we can run it against one linebacker personnel, So there's a lot that's going to go into it for sure.
Exactly. If you start cheating back too, if you cheat guys back a little bit, that opens up the running it. You got to account for Jackson Arnold, who's going to run it 10 times a game, probably on average.
Yeah. I mean, I would press the stew out of us until like we can prove that we can, take the top off of it. But
I think you got the guys to take the top off of it.
On the receiving end. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, if I'm Baylor, it's all about making Jackson Arnold uncomfortable. And, just talking to Cam Stewart, who I think covers Baylor as good as anybody, the matchup he's most concerned with from the Baylor point of view is Baylor's inability to rush the passer. He's concerned about the pass rush, and then Auburn's offensive line, I think, is going to be above average at the tackle positions. And so if you do that, like, how do you make Jackson Arnold uncomfortable? You either knock his receivers off of the route so the patterns take longer to develop, or you blitz them and you make them make quick decisions. And if those, rushers get home, what happens? So I don't know. I think that aspect of the game, if it's Auburn, a ton.
Yeah, I agree. I would look for running backs over the middle of the field. By the way, I think that.
Do we do that? Does Freeze do that? Is that what his offense does?
Not much.
I'm with you. I think it makes sense. I just don't know if we've really seen him do that before.
We did it a few times with Jarquez, but not enough to where it's a tendency. Not enough to where it's a thing you'd regularly see.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I'd love to see it.
I love talking strategy. Love talking strategy and X's and O's in the middle of June when we're 74 days away. That's exciting.
Right. Yeah,
we're getting there.
I love talking about anything with you.
Hey, I love talking about anything.
And we're both home. You're home from the beach.
Yeah.
I escaped the dungeon. We're making it happen this week.
It looks normal again. It looks and sounds normal again on both fronts. So we'll just settle in.
People said, though, the consensus was that the connection in the dungeon was better than the connection at the beach.
It was better. It was better for me Friday, though, when I went outside.
It was better. I didn't notice any of the blips on Friday.
Yeah.
The internet was probably intimidated by your arms. They were just exposed to the world. And they're like, if I don't hold strong for this guy's connection, he may break the entire internet.
Yeah. Now, your word,
I don't know.
Your word's not mine. Whatever it takes to get the job done.
I just thought that was a pleasure and a treat seeing you record with no sleeves on.
Listen, I was just trying to be authentic is all. Always try to be authentic here. I'm at the beach. I didn't wear sleeves all week. Except to go wait 3 hours to eat at a restaurant. I wore sleeves then.
Got it.
So,
but you could have not worn sleeves.
No, you're right. In fact, I kind of wish I hadn't.
I bet they would have gotten to your table quicker. Like, this guy's gonna break us.
Yeah. Whatever it takes.
People who don't wear sleeves get what they want. You know what I mean?
People who don't wear sleeves get what they want. Yeah, that's true.
I think
That's
that does it for today's show.
I think it probably should. Yep. Thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed, all it takes is a click, and you'll get notified whenever we drop a new show for you. We would appreciate it. Remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.